Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Joshi and I'm a real estate broker based in Toronto and serving the GTA. On today's video, I'm going to be discussing with you the short-term rental accommodation and short-term rental bylaws for the City of Brampton. So for those of you that are new here, welcome. For those of you that have been following me for some time, I posted a video on Airbnb and short-term rental rules for the City of Toronto. And to date on my channel, that is my highest viewed, highest engaged with, and highest number of comments video that I have ever posted. So obviously you guys love the short-term rental stuff. I know, because it's a great way to make money. It's a great investment vehicle. It's unique for sure. But the cities are seeing that they are running into challenges in terms of sort of policing these short-term rentals, and that's why we first saw the City of Toronto come out with city bylaws to govern short-term rentals, and then a lot of GTA cities followed suit. So I will try to provide as much information as I can on Airbnb laws and short-term rental laws for these various cities. I am on this video going to be covering the City of Brampton. So beginning September 30th, 2021, the new short-term rental registration licensing bylaw in Brampton went into effect. So it's already been in effect since last year. We're approaching actually the 1-year anniversary mark. All new and existing short-term rental operators now need a license with the city to be able to operate their short-term rental legally. Okay, so if we go just like Cliff Notes version, there's a couple of things that you need to know. But before that, defining a short-term rental, right? Short-term rental definition is very important. So a short-term rental is basically any accommodation or a dwelling or a part of a dwelling that is used to provide sleeping accommodations. So someone rents it and uses it overnight for a rental period that's less than 30 consecutive days. So if it's 30 or more days, it's going to be considered a medium to long term. It's a different classification. But under 30 days would be considered short-term rental. A lot of online short-term rental companies and apps and programs have become very popular over the past couple of years. The most famous obviously being Airbnb, but there's also VRBO, Vacation Rentals by Owner, HomeAway, Flipkey, and a whole bunch of other ones that are part of this like sharing economy, right? And that have gone viral almost. It's very popular for people to use these home sharing apps and home sharing websites. I myself have used it for traveling with friends and family. Very convenient, absolutely. But with all of these new bylaws and everything coming out, it is becoming a nightmare to run, and especially to run profitably. So we'll go through this, and I'll basically go through what is happening. One of the questions that I got on my last video, the first one that I made for the City of Toronto, a lot of people asked why they're doing this, right? Like at the onset of these short-term rental legislation, no one really understood, like, why is the city getting involved, right? Here's the main reason. When you have units in the short-term rental space, basically owners are making more per night than they would make if they had a long-term tenant in there, right? So for like a condo, since we're talking about Brampton today, let's discuss Brampton, right? For a 2-bed condo in Brampton, the rent is probably going to be between $2,100 and $2,400 per month. Oftentimes this includes the utilities, because there's a lot of older condo buildings in Brampton that include utilities and the maintenance. So if we're looking at, $2,000 or $2,400 per month, that is not a significant amount. Let me just see. If we do it at $2,400, that would be $80 per night, right? If we just divide it out. So if you have a long-term tenant in there, they're signing a lease for 6 months or 1 year or more at $2,400, they're paying you $80 per night, which, I mean, for long-term rental, it's fantastic. It's a great rent rate. However, on Airbnb and other short-term sites, if you were to rent out the same accommodations, you could probably get upwards of $100, right, per night. So already the baseline there, $100 per night, is $20 more than what you're making in the long-term rental market. And depending on, you know, the amount of space you have, the amenities, whether or not there's like a concert in town or whatever, or if it's high season, right, depending on where your property is located, this can go up, right? I've seen small condos like in downtown, like a studio condo in downtown Toronto, be rented for like upwards of $300 a night, right? Not the same thing will apply to Brampton, but still, it'll definitely be more than $80 per night. All that to say, these kind of home sharing platforms in this business model, it allows these individuals and these owners to make more money, obviously renting on the short-term market, more money per night, than on the long-term market, as the example that I just explained. And so what happens is running these short-term rentals actually depletes available housing stock, right? In Brampton, I just read the statistic here. In Brampton, as of 2019, the CMHC did a study, and they said that the city of Brampton has a very low vacancy rate of just 1.2%. Now, this was as of 2019, and vacancy rate was 1.2%, which is very, very low, right? It means that anything that's going on the market for rentals, it's being scooped up because there's that much demand for tenants, and there's that much demand in terms of, you know, wanting rental units. And so having this short-term be so lucrative that the owners make so much money going on short term, they're going to be even more likely to keep it on short term rental and never, you know, make it available for long term rentals. And the city identifies that obviously every city in the GTA, and I would say Ontario and Canada, is undergoing a housing crisis right now, right? Irrespective of the current pricing situation and interest rates and inflation. I'm not talking about that at this moment, but overall, just in terms of units of homes available, both for renters and for owners, we have a housing crisis. We don't have enough homes, we don't have enough units, okay? That being said, short-term rentals being so lucrative actually takes those that would otherwise be in long-term rental units out of that market as well. So we have even less units that are being, you know, put into the long-term rental market, which is tough for a lot of municipalities, right? And that's part of the reason, and I would say probably the main reason, that they are doing all of these short-term rental bylaws. A couple of the other challenges and issues and impacts that City of Brampton listed in their study was obviously, first and foremost, decreased number of affordable rental units available for the long term. Also, properties being used as party houses, right? So if someone rents an Airbnb, has a fake name, fake profile, they pay, but they invite everyone and their uncle and have, you know, drinking, could be underage drinking, could be a whole bunch of other crap that we don't know about. Basically, there's no way to track, you know, who actually came to the unit, who was there, and that can get into a lot of trouble in terms of enforcement and danger to the people that are there. Second is maintenance to the property. So damaging property, damaging adjacent properties, stuff like that when people party and get drunk and whatever. Also, parking is an issue, right? If you have, you know, a group of friends, 10 friends going for an Airbnb in the middle of the city, and you have basically 10 cars parked along that street, it does cause parking issues for the people that live in that neighborhood. There's also been an increase in garbage complaints, which is interesting, but makes sense, right? You're traveling, you don't really carry much with you, everything's disposable, you just do your stuff and toss it in the garbage. So that's interesting, increase in garbage complaints. There's also been changes to neighborhood character, so they didn't really define this, I'm sure there's a report out there somewhere, but changes to neighborhood character, like, you know, if people are in and out and of a otherwise very friendly, calm and quiet residential neighborhood, and then you just have one house that just operates as an Airbnb and random people from all over the world are just in and out all the time, I get it, like it might change the neighborhood character, I do get it. So overall, community safety is quite a big priority for a lot of cities that are implementing these rules. So that's a little bit of background on the City of Brampton short-term rental space and kind of what's happening there and why they chose to do these things. If I go into now the Cliff Notes version, right? Literally there's 5 points for the City of Brampton, and they've made it very clear and easy to understand, okay? So number 1, short-term rentals are permitted in the principal residence only for a maximum of 180 days per calendar year. So this is the same as the City of Toronto short-term rental bylaw. you can only do it in your principal residence, the one that you're living in. And then if you happen to be traveling or if you happen to be away or anything, you can put your home, your principal residence, on Airbnb. And it can only be for a maximum of 180 days per calendar, which is, per calendar year, which is a maximum 6 months. So same as Toronto, they've done max 6 months, just to make sure that you're not, doing this full time. And then, well, it's not allowed full time anymore, really. Number 2, you can do no more than 3 bedrooms to be rented individually. So basically they don't want to turn it into a rooming house. This is also the same as the City of Toronto bylaw. You can rent out the whole unit, right? Or you can rent out like a section, like a room and a bathroom and a whatever. So you can rent out an area of a house or the entire house, that's fine. But if you're doing room rentals, you can't do more than 3 rooms in one house, because then it would be a rooming house, then it would be like a hotel, and no one wants to deal with that. Number 3, the property owner must have proof of commercial general liability insurance. So this is interesting. To be honest, I don't remember seeing any insurance requirements in the City of Toronto bylaws. I'm sure they've brought them in over time, right? Complaints and all of that. But that's an interesting one, number 3. So you must have commercial general liability insurance. Number 4, for the City of Brampton, an annual short-term license renewal is required. So they have the date. It started September 30th last year. So if you were operating a short-term rental and you got licensed, on or before September 30th last year, you're going to have to do the process all over again before September of 2022. So do keep that in mind. And number 5, any short-term rental host who contravenes the provisions of the bylaw is guilty of an offense and liable to fines and other penalties. Obviously, when the city says you can't do something and you do it, you get in trouble. So that one's kind of obvious. I think they're all kind of obvious, but they are very clear, very easy to understand, and it's a pretty good information page that they've got on their website. I'll share the link below to the City of Brampton. So if you are thinking of operating a short-term rental in your home or in part of your home, just give it a read through. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. And if you are looking for an investment property in a city that does not have short-term rental rules, give me a shout. I'd be happy to go through that with you. I'm currently in the process of looking at something for an investor of mine. And so I am doing a deep dive into short-term rental rules and regulations all across Ontario. So definitely I will keep you guys posted on that as well. And if you have any specific questions, definitely let me know. I'll also put all of my socials down below, and I'll also put the City of Toronto Airbnb rules video below that has some great tidbits of information if you are thinking about doing a short-term rental. Irrespective of the city, it's always good to know what's going on, because when one city does it, the other cities follow suit, right? That's how it works with banks, that's how it works with popular culture, and that's how it works with municipal governance. So it's always good to sort of stay abreast of all of the updates that are happening, especially if you're thinking about investing into real estate for the purpose of running a short-term rental. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you thought that it was helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and do subscribe to my channel, because I post informative videos like this every single week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.